and I know this one will be a very good session for us. Karibuni sana. For Emma, karibu is our Swahili to mean welcome. So karibu.
Asante sana.
All right, thank you. I'll allow Angeline to go first. Angeline, you can introduce yourself, and then after that, Emma will introduce herself, and then we'll go right into it. Yeah.
Okay. Habari zenu. Ni zenu ama yenu? Yeah. But my name is yenu. Yeah. My name is Angeline Otiende. I'm currently a doctoral researcher at the University of Strathclyde. So I came to Strathclyde last year on the MBA program through the Stephen Young Scholarship. And I finished my MBA in August, looking forward to graduate next week on Friday. And yeah, I recently joined the PhD program just 1 month into the program. And before that, I worked with NGOs in Kenya for over 8 years. So my experience has kind of, led me to this point, and I'm happy to engage with everyone today and share whatever experiences that I've had. Yeah, thank you.
Great. Thank you, Angeline. Makofi, Angeline, tafadhali. You can do virtual claps. You can clap literally, but let's appreciate her. Thank you so much, Angeline, for giving us the opportunity to learn from you and to know from your experience. Don't take it for granted. Thank you for taking the time. I will then invite Emma to introduce herself, and then just go right into it, Emma, after you've introduced yourself. Tell us about the program for the next probably whatever number of minutes you want to take, and then we'll go right into the next part of the program. You're welcome.
Thank you very much. So thank you to Nancy for setting this up. Thank you, Eric, and thank you, Mary, for the very kind welcome. So Angeline is one of the first Stephen Young Global Leader Scholarship recipients, and she has been a wonderful example of Kenya. So you should be very proud of her. She has done really, really well in the MBA. She graduated with distinction. She was a really fantastic member of the cohort, and she has now applied to continue on at Strathclyde and do her PhD. And that's a competitive process. So again, she's done really well to get into the program. And she's also receiving the Stephen Young Global Leader Scholarship to do her PhD as well. So, and as part of being part of the community at Strathclyde University, she's also been selected to be the university's representative at the United Nations COP29 conference in Azerbaijan that's coming up next month as well. So she's doing really well. She's making the most of this opportunity through her hard work and her great contribution. So I'm really delighted that she's here actually, because she's a great example, but also she can tell you more about what it's like to be a student at Strathclyde than I know. I've only been at Strathclyde for 1.5 years. I was recruited from Warwick University. You may know it's another UK university. And the reason they recruited me was because there was a very generous donation from one of the Strathclyde University MBA PhD students, which allowed us to set up this new Stephen Young Institute, which I'll tell you a little bit about. So as I say, I've only been in Strathclyde a little while, and also I've only been living in Scotland for 1.5 years as well. But I have to say, it is such a friendly place. And I think Angeline's had the same experience. So it is a very nice place for people to think about. If you're going to travel abroad to study, it's a nice city to come and do your study. So my colleagues in the business school gave me some slides to present. And I don't know kind of which ones of these you will want to hear more about and which ones you don't. So I'll go through some of them quite quickly. And if you would like me to say more about anything, then please just let me know. Is that okay, Eric, if I...
Perfect, that's okay.
And you're welcome to give me some guidance while I'm loading up my slides, if there's anything in particular that you think I should focus on.
Sure.
I was just going to come in and say, Emma, as you get your slides ready, when the last time we spoke, you mentioned that you didn't receive enough strong scholarships from women and people from Africa. And maybe you can highlight what makes that kind of strong scholarship and probably why, I don't know, what expectations you have. Maybe people don't believe in themselves as much as maybe they should. So yeah, just that.
Okay, yeah, thank you. Is that you, Nancy? Because I can't see you now. I've got my slides up.
Yes, it's me. That's Nancy.
Yes, hello, Nancy. Yes. Shall I put the slides on full view? Is it better if I do it like this?
Better on full view, if it's
like
okay with you. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Great. So yes. So I'll tell you a little bit about the business school, and then I'll talk about the scholarship. So Strathclyde Business School is in the city of Glasgow, which is the biggest city in Scotland. It is about 45 minutes from the city of Edinburgh, which has an amazing castle. So it's kind of a really great location for two very nice cities. My name's Emma MacDonald. As I said, I'm director of the Stephen Young Institute for International Business, and I'm the Charles Huang Chair in International Business. And my focus is on international business, sustainable business, innovation and marketing. I was previously at Warwick University and Cranfield University, both in the UK, but I'm originally from Australia, which if you know accents, you might be able to tell. I've worked as a consultant to organisations across a variety of sectors. And before I joined academia, I worked in telecommunications marketing and marketing research. So that's my background. But I'm here to tell you about the university. And this is one of the reasons why I decided to come to Glasgow when they offered me a job, was because I'd been up a couple of times before and I'd found it to be a very friendly place. And indeed, in 2022, Time Out magazine voted it the world's friendliest city. Glasgow and Scotland are places that appear a lot in different films. If you're a Harry Potter fan, you will have seen this beautiful viaduct. So there's some beautiful scenery and places to go in the area, but also Glasgow is kind of a very gritty, real city, but not too big. So we're located right in the heart of the city, and our campus is very near to all sorts of facilities like train stations, bus stations, the subway, and lots of interesting things to look at. In terms of a university, we have quite a long history. The university was founded in 1796 by a man called Professor John Anderson, and we focus very much on being about technology and being international. And our strapline is that we're a place of useful learning, which is what the founder wanted it to be. So we're very kind of practically oriented, and our staff do a lot of entrepreneurial work, very close to industry, very close to policy. There are 4 faculties, and the business school is one of them.
Sorry, Emma.
Yes.
I don't know if it's just on my end, but the slides are not moving.
They're not moving on.
I'm not sure if it's on presenter mode.
Okay. It says I'm sharing. Did you not see any of them? How do I stop sharing here?
You've stopped. We can't see the presentation now.
You can't see it.
Kelvin, if you're in the room, you can help Emma.
Sorry, what am I doing here? Could you see my slides at all? I can try sharing the entire screen. Let's see if that makes a difference. It's not helping. Window. You want to see this? What can you see?
Yeah, we can now see the slide you're on.
You can see
it. Yeah, but you need to put it in
presenter mode.
Yeah, presenter mode.
I clicked on the little slide thing down the bottom before, but then you weren't seeing it moving on.
Okay. Yeah, the one at the bottom, I think, would be. It's not working. The one at the bottom.
Well, that's what I did before. I'm just seeing if there's a view presenter mode here. Where is it? I'll try it again and see.
Go to slideshow. Just select slideshow on top there.
Okay, I'm going to have to exit again. So slideshow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then show from beginning.
Show
from
beginning.
current. And
Can you see that? It's gone back to the beginning. Can you see that?
no, actually, it's not showing. I don't know, Kelvin. I think there's something about the screen. Her screen.
Kelvin, can you help? Kelvin is our IT guru, Emma.
Oh, we always need an IT guru in the room.
I don't know if it will be sorry. Maybe you can share the slide, then I can present them from my end. I don't know if that could work.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Okay.
Okay, so Kelvin, you can type in the chat your email address so that Emma can just pick it and share with.
Yeah,
Thank
I've
you.
done that.
I got you. Thank you. Okay.
Sorry for that, Emma.
No, I'm sorry. I'm sorry if it's something silly I'm doing at this end.
No, it happens. I think normally there's something you have to do with your laptop so that you can show that screen, and I think it's only possible when someone is in the room to show you how. It always happens to me.
Because I don't usually use Google for calls, so
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay, so just share with Kelvin. Kelvin will help us out. Yeah.
Am I still presenting to you?
No.
No.
Oh, good. Right. Okay.
So maybe as we wait, Beth can introduce herself. Beth, I saw you coming in. Then now, yeah, I think I can see Beth. Beth is our director of programs, and she works very closely with students. Yeah.
Okay. Allow me not to put on my camera, but good evening, everyone, and it's so great to be here and to listen to this great presentation. I was just thinking how we think our universities are old until you hear the university was started in 17 something, and then you're just like, yes, old is relative. So we're excited really to hear more. And I encourage our scholars who are in the room, please explore, go out there, find out how the new culture there, how an old institution looks like, what is different from here. So I really want to encourage us that as we listen with the mindset of, I'm going to try this. So yeah, looking forward to more info.
Yeah, I think that's right. Yeah, so Kelvin, I've sent you those slides. Hopefully they've reached you, and they might take a while because it's a fairly big document. The other thing I'm wondering is whether it's the browser I'm using, because I'm not using Chrome. Do you think it would be better if I was in Chrome?
Not sure.
I could try. I might log out and try and come back in and see if that makes a difference. Is that okay, everyone?
I don't think the browser will make the difference.
Okay.
Yeah. So Kelvin will be able to sort us out on this.
Okay.
Yeah, I received the files, so I'm just downloading them.
It's not the best.
Oh, thank you, Kelvin. Great. But yes, in terms of the applications, I would definitely encourage people to apply. So Angeline applied to our 2022 intake. And I was delighted with the pool of applications that we got. But yeah, for 2023, I didn't get as many. We didn't seem to get as many from African nations. So we'd love to see more. So do think of applying. You've got time. I'll show you on the slides, but the scholarship opens towards the end of this year, so towards the end of 2024. But the applications don't close until June next year. So there's still time to apply if you're interested. Thank you. So I can see that, Kelvin. Hopefully everyone else can, and hopefully it moves on for you.
Can you see? Did you see the full screen previously?
I can't see the full screen. I can just see the slide view.
Okay, that's good. Let me just do that. Now?
I still
think the way we were seeing hers.
Okay. Just a minute.
Maybe it's the slides. As I say, I was given some of these by my colleagues.
It's really Google Meet sometimes, and presentation field do not work well. I think we should just continue. Yeah, Google Meet and presentation field, it's just problematic.
Oh, hello, something different. So yes, so it would be great if people want to apply. So the way you would apply for the scholarship, oh, there we go. I can see that now. Now, is it moving on? Hey, Kelvin is a star. Thank you, Kelvin.
Thanks, Kelvin.
So we already looked at that one. We don't, thank you. Great. Yeah. Sorry, Kelvin. So I'm going to be saying next a bit. So this is Strathclyde. If you could just click on the next one. So we're recognised in a number of different ways as a university. We've had University of the Year prize a few times. Last year, we were European Entrepreneurial University of the Year. Next slide. The university, the business school, has got accreditation of the MBA program via AMBA, AACSB and EQUIS, and only 1% of the world's business schools hold that status. So it is something we're very proud of. All the business schools I've worked for have had that, and they've all been very good with leading MBA programs. They can see some of the rankings, and I know that can be important in people deciding which universities to apply to. Would you mind going on, please, Kelvin? Thanks. I wasn't exactly sure what level of program people might be interested in. So I have some slides here around the postgraduate programs, and also potentially, if you want to, about the undergraduate programs. But I should point out that the Stephen Young Global Leader Scholarship is only for postgraduate. So we have a range of master's degrees, 12-month full-time degrees. There's a number of different options across those programs. And you can see there the fees for full-time students to study these for the master's programs. It's between £27,000 and £31,000. And for the MBA, it's around £38,000, £39,000. It says no application deadline. So that's a very broad overview of postgraduate programs. And then I'm just going to whiz through some slides here. So these will go quite fast, Kelvin. Basically, these are showing the 6 departments within the business school. We have an economics department. They offer a number of MSc programs. There you go. And some of them are ranked really highly. The guy in the kilt there in the next slide is giving a quote about the MSc Economics and Policy, and saying he would definitely recommend it if you're interested in a career in climate change. The next department would be on the next slide, Accounting and Finance. And that's a really highly ranked program, ranked first in Scotland and second in the UK for Accounting and Finance. If we can move on. So there's a number of core programs in that. Some of them are accredited by the Chartered Institute of Management Accountants. So that's Accounting and Finance. Next slide. Again, nice quote from a student there about why he chose the program. The Hunter Centre for Entrepreneurship is the 3rd department in the business school. So it does lots and lots of work with entrepreneurs around innovation and technology and startups. So that's another department. Again, a quote from a happy student there. It's talking about the quality of the teaching. The 4th department is Management Science. And again, they offer a range of MSc programs. And we'll move on. The 5th one is Marketing. Again, a range of programs, some of them ranked really highly in the UK, listed there. And then the last one is Work, Employment and Organisation. And again, they have a number of different MSc programs. So that's very briefly how the school is organised around those 6 departments. The Stephen Young Institute is sits, and there's a nice quote again from a student. So yes, as I was going to say, the Stephen Young Institute sits under the marketing department, but I'll tell you a bit more about the Stephen Young Institute. This is an overview here of the Strathclyde MBA program. So the MBA program is a full-time one-year program. There is also an executive MBA part-time, but the scholarship doesn't apply for that. So if you're interested in applying for the scholarship in particular, what you're looking at is this full-time MBA program based in Glasgow only. It's a highly experiential program for experienced executives, and there's a lot of customization allowed across the program, which Angeline can probably talk about a bit more. There's dedicated career support and a personal development team, and there are intensive overseas study weeks and optional overseas electives. So you can see there's a number of different pathways. If we go to the next slide, I've blown that up a bit, so you can see some of the modules that you take within the MBA program that help to build the skills of the individual and also develop expertise in being a responsible leader and being an effective strategist. So, and then there are different capstone projects that students can select from that are more consultancy based or more entrepreneurially based or more research based. So there's quite a bit of flexibility in the way the MBA program is structured. The Strathclyde MBA Stephen Young Global Leaders Scholarship Program, as I say, is a new program. Angeline on the call here is one of the first 3 graduates of the scholarship. We've just taken on another 4 students in the 24-25 year, and there'll be up to 5 scholarships available next year. So these are for scholars of exceptional academic merit. And as I understand it, the IFAC program targets people who have very strong academic capabilities. So I imagine that some of you would like to try for the scholarship. So what you do is you end up undertaking the Strathclyde MBA on a full-time basis in Glasgow for 1 year. And the scholarship includes those full international fees, as well as a generous stipend to cover your living costs while you're here. And the program aims to develop global leaders in society and business that are going to have a really positive impact on the world. And alongside the MBA modules that everyone who takes the MBA is undertaking, each of the Stephen Young Global Leader Scholars benefits from additional support, which includes mentoring and other types of development opportunities. So it might be to take an additional module somewhere, to participate in a conference somewhere. It's very much bespoke around the needs of the individual scholarship winner. And they're also part of a wider Stephen Young Institute community. So we're named the Stephen Young Institute after this gentleman here, Professor Stephen Young. Sadly, he's no longer with us, but he was a very inspirational professor at Strathclyde. He was a former head of the Department of Marketing at Strathclyde Business School, but he was very interested in international business, and he had did a lot of work in Africa. And this was a quote from one of his former students, that he significantly advanced our understanding of the role of multinational enterprises, subsidiaries, and smaller international firms on economic development. He was a much-loved teacher with a genuine commitment to nurturing talent. And that's what we try to live up to within the Stephen Young Institute in the way that we look after the scholars that come to study at Strathclyde. These are our 3 recently graduated or about to officially graduate Stephen Young Global Leader Scholars. So Dr. Vijay Rao from India, he already had a PhD in chemistry. So he applied to do the MBA as a way to fill in his expertise in business and management. So he has completed his MBA with distinction. So we're very proud of him. On the right-hand side, you can see Karen Chukwu, who is an entrepreneurial lawyer from Nigeria. And Karen also completed her MBA with distinction and is also joining our PhD program as a next step. And she'll be looking at startup success in several African countries as the topic for her PhD. And then, of course, there's Angeline, who you've already met, who is from Kenya, and she was a chartered CPA accountant working in the nonprofit sector when she joined us, and she's going to continue on looking at that area with a PhD. So they're fantastic scholars, and we're very proud of them. We also have some doctoral researchers aside from Angie and Karen, and the first of our Stephen Young Global Leader doctoral students is Shola Aladudu. He's from Nigeria, and he's looking at the internationalization of African platform-based businesses. So I guess that's what's happening with the program right now. And as I mentioned, these are some key dates if you're thinking of applying for the scholarship in the coming year. So applications will open sometime in between December and January on our website, and then they'll close in May, June next year. Then what happens is the MBA program, so they have a recruitment team which interviews everybody that applies to do an MBA at Strathclyde. So the first step will be you put your application in, and then the second step will be someone from the MBA team will approach you for interview, and then they will kind of pre-screen people that they think are appropriate to put forward for the Stephen Young Global Leader Scholarship. So they might offer people a place in the MBA program, and then they might say to them, okay, there's a possibility that you might qualify for one of these Stephen Young Global Leader Scholarships. And so they will give me and our department a short list of people that they think are appropriate for the scholarship. And then we will invite some of those people for interview sometime in June. And then the successful applicants will hear very quickly after that and know that they've got the scholarship plus stipend to come and attend Glasgow and do their MBA here. If students don't qualify for this scholarship, there might be other scholarships available, but this is one of the more generous scholarships that are available. So, and this is a slide about the wide range of scholarships. So it is worthwhile looking at the business school's website to see what scholarships there might be available for you. Was it Nancy or Mary? Both of them was encouraging you to look around at opportunities. We are always looking for fantastic people who may not have had the opportunity to, might not have been able to afford expensive schools or whatever, but they're just fantastic, talented people. We are always looking to try and help those people to achieve their full potential. And so it's definitely worth looking out for opportunities like that. So please do have a look at the university website, which talks about some of the scholarships. And I think I also put a slide in here next about, you may or may not know, but looking at the British Council in Kenya, because they also will talk about other universities where there might be scholarships available. So that's pretty well what I wanted to say about the postgraduate courses and the Stephen Young Global Leader scholarships. So we could potentially leave it there and hand over to Angeline or questions. What would you prefer to do?
We can first take, if there is any question that is there, we can first take that before we go to Angeline. Maybe in the next 5 minutes or so, if there's someone with a question, you can just unmute yourself and ask, and I'm sure Emma would love to answer.
Very happy to, yes.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm in the Matrix there, right? Any questions? Very happy to try my best to answer them.
You can also type on the chat.
I've got a question before anybody else raises it, and I hope I'm asking for a couple of people here. Emma, as a scholarship reviewer and awarder, what kind of skills and what are you expecting to see in a scholarship application? What are you looking for? What makes a candidate stand out? And what are the mistakes as well that you see that shouldn't be there?
Yeah, it's a really good question. I guess I can really only answer on behalf of this scholarship program, because there are a number of different programs and they have different reasons for being. But this scholarship seeks to support people who are clever and, you know, work hard academically and clearly have a high level of academic achievement. But it's also looking for people who want to make a positive impact on the world. So, you know, coming in and saying you've made lots of money, you know, with your business, that is great, you know, and well done. But that's not necessarily what this scholarship seeks to support. So it's about, I guess, being able to demonstrate that you're well-rounded and that you think about your impact on the world. So it's a difficult one to answer in more detail than that, but it's being conscious of, you know, your current and potential impact on the world around you, on your society, on the planet. So yeah, giving that some thought.
Great. Thank you so much, Emma. If there are any questions, don't worry, we'll still have time to answer that. But I love the point that Emma has left it at, and that's why I'm gonna bring now Angeline onto that, because Angeline is now able to tell us her experience applying, and then with the experience applying again, what does she think she did right that made her get into the scholarship? So I think that will be again just tying into what Nancy had asked, and we can build it up from there. So karibu sana, Angeline.
Asante sana, Eric. So with regards to my experience applying for the scholarship, I think first of all, it's important to establish like the kind of motivation that I had, because I did my CPA back in 2012 at Strathmore University. So during my time at Strathmore, you know, there was one lecturer called Dr. McPhee. If you've been to Strathmore, then you definitely know Dr. McPhee. So he's from Scotland, and he'd been to Strathclyde. And the way he carried out himself and the things he did, I was like, okay, one day I want to go to this university. So like way from 2012, it was already part of my mind that, you know, one day I would love to go to the UK to do this kind of program at Strathclyde. If not Strathclyde, then, you know, other universities in the UK. And for me, I'm not from, you know, I'm from a very humble background. And that kind of gave me the motivation to find, you know, these scholarship opportunities, because if you don't have the financial resources, might be, you know, some of the stories that maybe some of us could relate to in this chat. So that led me to start looking into scholarship opportunities. And with that, Stephen Young was not the first scholarship I applied to. I had to apply. I tried Chevening at some point. I tried Commonwealth, got shortlisted. And what made me, you know, realize what I wanted to do in detail in future is, you know, you get all these rejections, and then it helps you kind of know what you want to do. And when it came to applying for Stephen Young, I had already thought of what I wanted to do, because I'd worked in the non-profit sector, experienced the challenges with donor funding. You are an NGO, I'm sure you might relate to these issues. And so I had like the right kind of motivation. And when I applied for the scholarship, first you apply through the school, the university admissions, as Emma mentioned. So that means you send your application to the school, you get shortlisted for interview, and on the website they say 3 years experience, because generally MBAs, you know, they require people who have been in experience with management. And what I normally say is you do not have to have been a manager to be able to apply. You could be a manager in your own way, not at work. You could have volunteered somewhere that maybe demonstrated your leadership experience. And the experience with applying through the university was the essays, the kind of essays that you want to write. And this kind of essays, again, as I said, it's important to establish my motivation, because it's like a whole process of reflecting on your past, what you want to do in future. And that really, I would not say makes you, I would not say like, it's what made me stand out, because, that is something that the admissions know, but I can feel like reflecting on my past experiences really made me to put in a good application. And then I was shortlisted for interview. I remember the process for applying for the scholarship took around 2 weeks. I was in Uganda that time working, and I applied on the deadline for the scholarship, wrote these essays. Again, the essays for the scholarship, it's about knowing yourself, knowing what you want to do in future. And you can only tell your story if you know these things, if you've done, like self-evaluation, because the person who is reviewing your essay will be able to know whether it is, true enough, if it stands out, if it's real. And this is only through the experiences that you've had. And during the interview for the Stephen Young, I remember, because when I did my application, I said, I'm passionate about working with NGOs. I want to do impact investing. That is potentially a PhD topic. And during the interview, I remember Emma asked me something about, the PhD, and I was like, oh, wow, okay, this is the MBA, but already doing like, asking questions about the research. And because I'd thought about it for so long, you could wake me up at night and I could, tell you all the things I wanted to do, all the research that I'd done at that point. And I think for me personally, maybe Emma could say something else, but I think that is something that maybe made me stand out, because I knew what I wanted to do. And sometimes it's not about what you have achieved, because we are not all the same. We've not had the same opportunities up to this point. So it's about your ambition. If you're able to show that to the, to the reviewers, show them what you want to do, then I think that's a really good point to make.
Great. Thank you, Angeline. I think it doesn't get any better than that. Us getting the experience firsthand from someone who's gone through the program. I think that hits closer home. I will probably then ask, just to relate it to a softer side of this. You thinking the UK and you going there, then how was your experience now fitting in? Someone is probably thinking, I want to apply. I think of culture shock. I think of all those things that are mentioned always. Walk us through maybe in the next 2 minutes about your experience, and then we can now go into the Q&A session. Yeah.
Okay. So first of all, because I'd wanted to come to Strathclyde for so long, I'd done all this, research about the UK, about Scotland. And, one of the things that you come across is, the Scottish accent. You think it's really interesting until you get here and, ask yourself, am I really speaking English? Or this is a completely different language. Yeah, but that's beside the point. I think, there's not too much information out there about Strathclyde, because when I was doing my research, I had passion to come to this university. So, that really pushed me to make my applications. But if you are to just go, maybe on YouTube, look for those vlogs about Strathclyde, there's not so many out there. And like when I got here, the Strathclyde I see physically is not what is there online. So I can assure you it is way much better than what is available online. And like Emma said, living in Scotland, living in Glasgow is like one of the best things. People make Glasgow, and that is very true. Like in Kenya, we have some sort of community, and that is really important when you're moving to a different country, because, it's like you pack up your life, in 2 suitcases and move to a new country, new people. If you're Black, then that's another thing, because you will feel different, definitely. And when you feel different, then you need to feel welcome, and Glasgow is really good at that. So my experience doing the MBA, it's a very rigorous program. The scholarship is really helpful because it gives you finances. I had classmates who had to work part-time, and it was really hard because the program is very demanding. I finished in August, and I think 2 months down the line, I still feel very tired from the program because it's very intense. But really, there's so many opportunities to learn. We have global practitioners. these are industry experts. So you do not only get to learn in class, what theory tells you or, that sort of thing, but you also get to relate what you're taught in class with, those who've been in industry. And you also get to visit other like companies, big companies in the UK. There's site visits. We do that quite a lot in the MBA program. And other than that, there's also opportunities for you as a student to grow if you want to. We have like the Strathclyde Inspire. We've had, if you're a student, you're allowed to participate in those kind of competitions. And it builds your leadership skills, communication skills, and such kind of things. And about the capstone project that Emma was talking about, there's three specializations. So we have entrepreneurship, we have consultancy, and then we have dissertation. So because the MBA is, most people who do the MBA, they want to become consultants. And so most of my classmates ended up doing the consultancy project. That is where you work with, an organization has a particular challenge. They approach the school with their problem, and then students get to, pick the kind of projects that they want to do. And then that ends up to be like your capstone project. Entrepreneurship module, the way it works is you get to, develop a business idea from ground up, and do the whole process until how you'll finance it, everything involved in the entrepreneurship project. And what I did, which is the third pathway, is dissertation, because I wanted to do a PhD, and I think I was one of maybe three people who did dissertation. Yeah, so it's not a very much taken route, but because I wanted to do PhD, I knew I needed to do the dissertation to kind of, get a feeling of what PhD looks like, how it feels like, and all that kind of stuff. And with regards to the scholarship, there's the mentorship program, which is amazing. As I mentioned, coming to Glasgow, it's a new country. It feels very different. And, what the mentorship program did for me is, it's not only about your career path, but also helping you to kind of settle into Glasgow. There's a lot of culture shock. And my mentor, I had two mentors throughout the year, and my first mentor was very helpful in telling me, I was able to discuss with her like things like religion. Kenya, you can speak about religion very freely, but in the UK, we have so many. There are people who are not religious, and you need to know how to approach these issues. So if you have someone who you can be able to confide in, so that they guide you, test out your ideas with them without them judging you, then it's a very good idea. And then also for the scholarship, there's so much to talk about. Tell me if I'm running out of time. The Stephen Young Scholarship gave me the opportunity to do 2 modules abroad. So first of all, Strathclyde has campuses in the Middle East and also in Europe. So I went to Greece for one of my modules. It was on finance, and it was a really good experience because, I got to get out of the UK. It was around summer. The sun was so good in Greece. It was amazing. I had a very amazing experience. And also getting to, learn a new culture. How do Greek people live? And I realized, they're more like Kenyans because they're very welcoming, more like Glasgow. They love sharing, which is very good. And also I got to go to France, still under the scholarship. I went to Toulouse, got to visit Airbus, where they make all the planes. Airbus, there's only 2 competitors, Airbus and Boeing. So I got to experience, their culture, what makes them different, especially at the time when Boeing is experiencing all these, scandals and all that. And also I had an opportunity to, if I wanted to, I could attend a conference, but then I chose to do the international modules abroad, which was really interesting. And leading on to the PhD, I'm going for the COP conference, which is, it's a very unique opportunity, and the Stephen Young Institute is funding that, which is really good. So there's lots of opportunities to, learn and grow from this scholarship, and people should apply for it.
Great. Thank you so much, Angeline. And I think that you've done the scholarship justice. All those things. That's just amazing. Yeah, we can celebrate. Angeline, you can send in your claps. We appreciate you.
Thank you.
now, because of time, probably I'll throw in a few questions, but a little later to you, Angeline, and probably Emma. But I want to allow our community here to come in and ask questions. I know now probably the questions have now come. And if you have a question, feel free to write on the chat and I'll read it out, or just go and just open your mic and ask. We are a little short of time, so we can do.
Can I say one extra thing, Eric?
Yes, Emma.
So I was just going to say, so Angeline, thank you. It's really great to hear more about the experience that you had. Can I just say to the ladies on the chat, the women on the chat, we sometimes are very hard on ourselves and expect ourselves to be perfect before we apply for something. And I think I encourage everyone to apply, but particularly if there are some women on the call and they think they won't apply because they're not quite good enough, don't think like that. Angeline was right. It's about your potential to make a difference, even if you haven't yet had the opportunity to make a difference. So just to really encourage people to think of applying, because as I said, I did notice this year that we didn't get very many female applicants, and that was really disappointing for me, because I love to support everyone who's really talented, and I like to make sure that we've got a good balance. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Thank you, Emma. Eric, if I could add one more thing.
Yeah.
Before I applied for the MBA, I was, it's my mentality was MBAs because it's Masters of Business Administration. Obviously, it's for like people with business background. But then when I got to meet my cohort, I think I was the only accountant. I think 80% of my classmates were engineers. We had people from, we had lawyers, we had scientists. And so, like, you should not be limited about your background, regardless of your background, because it's about the leadership experience you intend to acquire. Yeah.
All right. Thank you. And while at that, Angeline, there's a question from Jennifer. She asks, hi, I have a question on tips on how you stood out in the interview steps. Maybe take a minute and just answer that.
I normally, the people I've interacted with, really don't believe me when I tell them, because I remember I was for work. I was doing a very demanding job at that time. So I just traveled to Uganda. I was working on my application and got to send it, I think, on the last day, just a few hours before midnight, before the deadline. And I got shortlisted for the interview. And, throughout those 2 weeks, I was very busy. And when I got shortlisted for the interview, I was like, okay, I'll find time and prepare for the interview. I did not get time. I think I sat maybe 1 hour to the interview just to look at my application and, review it. But then what really made me be able to go through the interview is because, as I mentioned from the beginning, your motivation is really important. Because when you're motivated enough, then you know what you want, you know what you want to do. And if you're able to show that very clearly to, whoever person you're talking to. When I was talking to the interviewers, Emma was there, and I got to, say what I wanted to do even beyond the MBA. And at that point, I did not know that the scholarship was going to fund PhDs in the future. So I got to share my story because it's something that I'd been thinking of a long time ago. I did not even need to prepare for it because I had it, in my heart. I had passion for it. So if you know what you want to do, and don't be afraid to go for, what you want. They say, feel the fear, but do it anyway. You can feel so discouraged so many times, but then just go for it and believe in yourself and tell your story, believe in it, and other people will believe in it. Yes.
Great. Thank you. Jennifer, I think that answers it. Let me know if you want any other clarification. To anyone who wants to open the mic and ask a question. Anyone? Yes, Miriam, I see your mic open.
Hi, Eric.
Hi.
My question is, does the scholarship require one to come back to Kenya, or is one at liberty of choosing whatever country they would want to work in, or even continent?
Great. Emma, I'll bring you on this.
I don't know if I could hear Miriam's question very clearly. Do you mind?
She asked, does the scholarship require you to come back to your country, like now in this context, Kenya, or are you able to explore your life in the UK?
Yeah, it's a good question. The scholarship is for the period of the study, like scholarship and the stipend. I think what you're asking more about is the visa, the UK visa that you get. And there is usually, again, Angeline might have more insight on this actually than I do, because I know depending on the type of visa you've got, you can usually stay for a few months beyond the study in order to try and find employment. But that will be, you know, in order to stay longer term, that's what you'd need to do. You'd need to find a job. But Angeline, what did you have?
Yeah, I think what you said is right. After you graduate, you can apply for the postgraduate visa for 2 years and stay for 2 more years. But then I guess what Miriam really wants to know is, you know, we have scholarships like Chevening and Commonwealth. They require you to go to your country immediately after graduating. So you don't even get to apply for the postgraduate visa unless you maybe, you know, proceed to a PhD program. So with the Stephen Young Scholarship, it's different. I remember during the interview, Emma asked me, you know, what do you want to do in future? And because when you apply for scholarships, you know, this is kind of some kind of mentality that we have that, you know, they require you to go back to your country. And I think I was very honest, said, as much as I would love to go back to my country at some point and help, you know, change things, you know, going back in the short term would not do me justice because there's not so many opportunities. So the Stephen Young Scholarship does not require you to go back to your country. Yeah.
Great. Thank you. Miriam, you answered?
Yes, thank you.
All right, thank you. Jennifer has a question to Emma. Emma, what specific qualities do you look out for? Like, what stands out for you during the scholarship interviews?
Oh, Jennifer, you're asking me a tricky question there. Thank you. So, I mean, by the time the people that I get to meet, we have a very talented pool of people. So it actually, you know, because they've already been interviewed by the MBA program, they've been pre-screened to be students that could come onto the MBA program. So that typically means they have some business experience or management experience, as Angeline was saying. And so then we have this pool of very kind of talented, motivated people who are keen to be supported via the scholarship. So we take account of their academic record, because that's obviously important. But as Angeline said, it's also about them having a clear idea of what they want to do. So it's that clear vision for themselves. Like you can be from any background. You can see last time we supported a scientist, a lawyer, and an accountant. You know, you can come from any background, but how are you going to use your particular skills and talents to have a positive impact on the world? So I think it's really thinking that through clearly. And being able to present that. That's what you need to do. You don't have to be the most confident person. You don't have to be, you know, it's not about how extrovert you are at all. It's just about you being very clear about what you want to do. So right. that helps, Jennifer.
Okay, thank you, Emma. Jennifer, you're good. Okay, I can see your reaction. So to everyone in the room, allow me take a little of your minutes. I think we are 3 minutes past our time, but if you can allow me so that we just finish this up real well, I can take a few minutes of your time. I promise you that we should be done by 8:45 our time. I even don't know what time it is for Emma and Angeline and Nancy. So, what time is it?
It's 5:30, 5:33.
Okay, great. Good evening to you.
Good evening.
So Harriet asks, and this I think is towards to you, Angeline. How easy or difficult was it to get your visa after acceptance?
With the visa issues, I think it's kind of a different experience for different people, but I would say I was one of the lucky people because I applied for my visa I think on a Thursday, I went for my biometrics on a Thursday, and then by Monday morning, I had my visa results. So it was barely 3 working days for me.
I'm really hoping that it's that case for everyone from Kenya, because some students have had trouble. So from India, there seems to be some big delays with visas from India, and another African country, one of our applicants has had a lot of trouble, but hopefully your country makes it easy. I don't know, maybe Angeline was just lucky, but I'm hoping it's not a barrier for people being able to join.
Yeah, I think if just do the application right, and you already have the financial support that you need, so you have the financial support letter, so that should be able to help you in your application. But other than that, you can never understand how the UKVI works. It's different for everyone. Yeah.
All right, thank you. Nancy says UK visas for Kenyans are quite straightforward, especially the scholarship.
Brilliant.
So it means there's at least that favor that you're going out for a scholarship, and it's easy to process it. Thank you. So I'll go to Boniface. Boniface says, what can lead to revocation of the scholarship opportunity? Imagine, and so I'll try and translate this for you, Eva. Imagine I tell people that I'm going to abroad for a scholarship, and then a few days later, it's happening. I'm not going anywhere. So what could lead to revocation of your scholarship?
Well, we hope that never happens. We hope that we select people really well, and that when they arrive, they're ready to get on and do their study. But I guess it's not keeping up with your studies. Is that what you're talking about? If someone arrives and doesn't go to class at all, I think we might find it difficult to pay you a stipend if you don't go to class.
All right, like what scenarios within your program, what are some of the scenarios that could cause Emma to cancel your program and you're done?
Well, I'm hoping none. I hope that never happens.
Okay.
Sorry.
All right, thank you, Emma. Isaac, are there specific world problems you expect the students to solve?
No, again, no. Just be clear about your vision for yourself. How are you going to impact the world?
All right.
There are plenty of problems to choose from. So, yeah, you can't do it all, but what are you going to do?
Okay, great. Any other person with a question? If you want, you can raise your hand. If you feel comfortable doing it on the chat, again, we can take the next 3 or so minutes to do that before we close.
Good questions, thank you. And thank you for the invitation again, and thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Do I have to stop hand?
Yes, Mary, you can go.
Okay, thank you so much, Emma and Angeline. I think that was so informative. And Angeline, I like the way you have articulated, the way you discovered what you really want to change and what you want to address. I think for me, it's to this particular team. We have walked a journey together. For most of us, I think we have been on this journey for more than 8 years. And I know most of us have a dream and the change that you want to really like, the impact you want to live in the world. And I think that's where you start off. When you listen to Angeline, what she has said, it is what the impact she wanted to have. I think we need to be confident in that change that we have dared to bring up and take up this opportunity to see this is a step actualizing that dream that we have. So I think I will continue the conversation, but I see most of us here, for those that have allowed me to read their dreams, I can see quite a number of them here that are the same line like Angeline, that they stand out just the way Angeline stood out.
Great. Thank you.
And I think in this room, I was just thinking when you talked about the women, it's the majority. Right?
You're breaking, Mary.
Can you hear me? No?
At some point you keep breaking, but we can hear you now.
Well, I was just telling Emma, right now, I think the majority in this room are women. So we hope that you're going to have a lot of applications for them as well. Yeah.
Sure. Thank you, Mary. For Emma and Angeline, Boniface says, tuonane majuu. What that means is see you on the other side, see you across the ocean and the sea. He's afraid of the cold, but he says he'll see you there.
I was afraid of the cold, but I've managed, so welcome.
Bonnie, you can manage if Angeline managed. Thank you so much. Because of time, I know we took more than an hour of your time, Emma and Angeline, so I will stop this at that. I know probably some of the questions will come later. Usually it happens that some follow-up questions come, and please allow me to just email you some of these questions. Emma, if that's okay, Angeline, if that's okay with you.
Of course. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm also on LinkedIn, so if you had a question that you've not been able to ask right now, you can just reach out to me on LinkedIn. I can share my profile with Eric, and then just ask anytime.
Yeah, I'm on LinkedIn too. Very happy to connect as well.
Great, thank you. I'll share your LinkedIn profile links with those who are interested in the room. But thank you, as Maria said, thank you so much to you, Emma and Angeline, for giving us this opportunity. I know Beth may have left. I will allow her to say something, but she's like, someone was raising her hand. Was that Ivy? Okay. Sawa. So thank you so much. Unless Angeline, Emma, there's something you want to say?
No, just thank you again, Nancy, Eric, Mary. It's been a pleasure.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you too for the opportunity to. I hope I've inspired someone.
Yeah.
So just go for it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. And thank you, Nancy, for making this possible. Thank you, Mary, for always pushing us to have this. And I know that very soon the success stories that are coming out of this.
Thank you.
Yes, to everyone who's attended, I wish you well. Once the applications are out, hopefully tunaweza anguka nayo. We can jump on